wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic podcast. This is Steve coming to you from Conway, Arkansas. It's been quite a wild ride. We're almost to episode number 200. How in the world did that happen? Stay tuned after the show for a discussion about the future of the podcast and a special thank you to my patrons. This week we are going to talk about Amor Fati. This idea that we as Stoics need to try to love our fate. To try to find a way to not just accept, but thrive in whatever happens to us. And sometimes it's easier said than done, and other times it's easy. Hey, I won the lottery. That sounds great. I can roll with that. Sounds good. Oh, my car's broken down. My house is on fire. Those are the sorts of things that are harder to love, right? So, what does it mean to love your fate, and how does a Stoic engage in the world with this notion in mind? Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, number 96, on facing hardships. Spite of all, do you still chafe and complain, not understanding that in all evils to which you refer, there is really only one, that you chafe and complain? If you ask me, I think that for a man there is no misery unless there be something in the universe which he thinks is miserable. I shall not endure myself on the day when I find anything unendurable. I am ill, but that is part of my lot. My slaves have fallen sick, my income has gone off, my house is rickety. I have been assailed by losses, accidents, toil, and fear. This is a common thing. Nay, that was an understatement. It was an inevitable thing. Such affairs come by order, and not by accident. If you will believe me, it is my inmost emotions that I am just now disclosing to you. When everything seems to go hard and uphill, I have trained myself not merely to obey God, but to agree with His decisions. I follow Him because my soul wills it, and not because I must. Nothing will ever happen to me that I shall receive with ill humor or with a wry face. I shall pay up all my taxes willingly. Now all the things which cause us to groan or recoil are part of the tax of life. Things, my dear Lucilius, which you should never hope and never seek to escape. It was a disease of the bladder that made you apprehensive. Downcast letters came to you. You were continually getting worse. I will touch the truth more closely and say that you feared for your own life. But come, did you not know that when you prayed for a long life that this was what you were praying for? A long life includes all these troubles, just as a long journey includes dust and mud and rain. But, you cry, I wish to live and at the same time to be immune from all ills. Such a womanish cry does no credit to a man. Consider in what attitude you shall receive this prayer of mine. I offer it not only in a good but in a noble spirit. May the gods and goddesses alike forbid that fortune keep you in luxury. Ask yourself voluntarily which you would choose if some god gave you the choice, life in a cafe or life in a camp. And yet life, Lucilius, is really a battle. For this reason, those who are tossed about at sea, who proceed uphill and downhill over toilsome crags and heights, who go on campaigns that bring the greatest danger, are heroes and front-rank fighters. But persons who live in rotten luxury and ease while others toil are mere turtle-doves, safe only because men despise them. Farewell. The Enchiridion by Epictetus, Chapter 8. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 7, number 61. The art of living resembles wrestling more than dancing, for here a man does not know his movement and his measures beforehand. No, he is obliged to stand strong against chance, and secure himself as occasion shall offer. In the first reading, Seneca is telling us to quit whining, to accept the world as it is. Hardships are there to challenge us, are there to push us, are there to help us to grow. And even if you don't think they're actually there for the purpose of helping you to grow, you can certainly respond to them in that way. He says he hopes that we don't obtain luxury because it may ruin us, that it's good for us to be engaged in a fight, the struggle of life. And apart from a little sexist language there, he encourages us to live as if we were in a camp rather than in a cafe. Those who are on campaigns and living the hard life are the ones that make names of themselves, who are remembered for their glorious deeds, while those who sip tea lazily just get fat and die, and no one really cares. Epictetus tells us to try to embrace things that happen to us, to love them, to use them, to grow from them, in the same way that Marcus Aurelius says, and he echoes Seneca here, where Seneca says life is a fight. Marcus Aurelius says life is a wrestling match, not a dance. He says that things are happening to us that we can't be prepared for. So I don't know much about dancing, but in dancing, you often know the moves that you need to make, the steps you need to take. You may know that you're going to start here and you're going to end up over there, at least in a very choreographed dance, right? But he says life is not like that. You don't know what's going to hit you from one moment to the next. You might get hit in the face, you might get kicked, you might get thrown to the ground, and you have to be ready for all of these things. And so if we are ready for them, we accept them as inevitable, and we even begin to love what happens to us as an opportunity to grow, we can be more in the moment, less fearful of the future, more prepared, and all around better people, and hopefully better Stoics. One thing I try to think about here is I often like to think of life as a dance in one sense, in that a dance has no purpose other than to be enjoyed, much like life, I think. I mean, there's more to it than joy, of course, but you're there you're living in order to help people and in order to enjoy the ride, right? Like take in the scenes, be with those you love, help the world while you're at it, and then you're gone. And in that sense, it's kind of like a dance. If you're focused on getting from point A to point B to point C to point D and then dying, you're going to be disappointed. If it's more free-flowing, perhaps it's more enjoyable. But in another sense, like Marx is talking, it's not like a dance, especially like a choreographed dance where you have very specific moves to make. You know exactly what's coming next. You're going to start here, you're going to end up over there. Life doesn't really work like that. It's a bit of a struggle. And these struggles are the things that make us stronger. And therefore, we should love them. Now, from Epictetus' perspective, these struggles are coming from a benevolent universe that may well be providing them to us in order for us to grow. So there's a teleology there. There's a purpose there. But from the perspective of a more modern Stoic, these are just things that happen. But they're going to happen. It's inevitable that they happen. But we can use the things that happen to us to grow, to change, to become better. We need to have a strong contingency plan. We're ready for about anything. Through premeditatio malorum, which we've discussed in previous episodes, through various Stoic practices, we can be ready for the future, for whatever comes our way, whether it be something someone might view as good or ill. We can be ready for it to respond with wisdom. We can love our fate as the tool through which we grow to become better people. Now,
speaking of wisdom and loving our fate, I am soon going to be shutting down the podcast for a while, perhaps for good. Why? Why would I do such a thing? I may talk about it more in a upcoming episode, but I feel that I have said about everything I can say from a growing Stoic, and I feel that it would be beneficial for me to stop talking about Stoicism as much and really trying to focus on growing and becoming better at it. Now, I have been growing, but I think, like Epictetus warns, we shouldn't vomit up the grass we've eaten to prove, a sheep doesn't vomit up its grass to prove how much it's eaten. It shows it by the wool it grows. I don't want to prove how much Stoic knowledge I'm gaining by vomiting up into a microphone every weekend. I want to grow as a person. However, I do think that this show has reached a lot of people and done a lot of good, so I don't see it going quite that negative sense, of course. But I feel like I am reaching the limits of what I can provide, and I'm growing as a person as well. I'm going to, I was going to shut it down right at episode 200. That was my plan, but I think I'm going to have a couple more guests on, so that's going to extend the show out a few episodes. But please, if you want to say farewell, shoot me an audio clip, and I'll put it on the last episode, which will be coming up in a few weeks. You can email to me at sundaystoic@gmail.com. Before I go, let's just give a shout out to the awesome patrons who have made this show possible this whole time. If I mispronounce your names, I apologize. Derek, Leanna, Torben, Stoic Paralegal, Zeus Laser, Shannon, Skylar, Dwight, Ronald, Gary, Kayleen, Seth, Sean, Thomas, Bungus, Sal, Steve, Grant, Jason, Mark, Chad, Ben, Juan, Tribal Lion, Ernie, Mohammed, Pierce, Adam, Joel, Beer Sodden, hey, there's a good username, Rick P, Rick A, Jed, Tom, Donald, Polly, Dobry Dan, Brian, Kate, Dan, Kat, Christopher, Nick, David, Carlos, Patrick, Eric, and David. Out of all those people, I have only met one of them in real life. Thank you so much for supporting the show, for being the most amazing people in the world, to want to grow, to learn, to become better human beings, and to support a show with a fool like me at its helm trying to do the same thing. That means the world to me, and I will always remember how cool it was to have the financial support of such interesting people. Thank you so much, and thank you to all who listen. It's still not too late to support the show one way. Go ahead and give it a couple of good reviews, and shoot me a farewell message. And as I will not promise this, but as fate may have in store, I may come back. Perhaps in January or February of next year, after a nice restful break from coming up with weekly content. All right, seize the day, everyone. Learn to love your fate. Grow from it, learn from it, help your fellow neighbor, and seize that day. Carpe diem.